Hello and welcome to Qt Pixel. Today I am continuing my software development stream, working on my Twitch craps table chatbot. Let me go bring up my stream schedule here. You can see today I'm continuing open source software development, working on my Twitch craps table chatbot. My next stream will be 1 week from today, Sunday, April 7th at 9 a.m. Note that my time zone is United States Pacific Time, specifically Pacific Daylight Time, UTC -7. So use that in your local time zone calculations. To start, as I always do, just look over work I've been doing for the last stream and see what we got going forward here. So last Sunday, I worked on improving or changing how we charge commissions for buy and lay bets. How those bets work is you are either charged a commission when you place it or when you win it. My original implementation was to charge you a commission when you made those bets, and I decided last week to charge the commission only when those bets win. That's an option that some casinos choose to do, and it actually works out as a better payout for players. So that's what I do, is to make that a nicer payout for players. Other things I did is I clear out buy and lay bets on a win. I think I have some logic down below. Let's see. Keep, place, and buy bets around after they win. So I originally kept the buy and lay bets around on a win because I'm like, well, if you're going to pay the commission, you originally paid the commission when you placed it. I'm like, well, if you're going to pay the commission when you place it, you're going to want to keep that bet around so you don't have to pay that commission a second time. Now that we only charge the commission on a win, placing that bet, there's no real problem to placing that bet. So I clear out the bet on a win, and then if you want that bet back, you can place it back. I also have this logic I want to add down the road to allow players to change these bets to increase, decrease, and remove bets. And until that logic is in place, I don't want to have bets stick around longer than we have to, because I want players to be able to, if they want to increase the bet, they can place a new bet once that old bet is gone. Once we allow this option to allow players to increase their bets, then they can consider keeping the bet around, and that's when we look at keeping those bets around after a win. I don't intend to keep the place to lose and lay bets around after a win, because those occur on a 7-out, and on a 7-out I want the entire craps table to be clear, so I'm not going to do that. Let's see what other things did we do last week. We added support for the field bet. We also added support for... Oh, interesting. All right, I'm looking at the chat messages. I forgot the last bets I made. I laid the 4 and laid the 10. I just laid the 4, so I lost my $120. Boo! So I got the 10 out there. So sorry, I got sidetracked. I added support for the field bet. How the field bet works is if you roll I think it's a 3, 4, 9, 10, 11, that gets paid 1-to-1. If you roll a 2, that gets paid 2-to-1. If you roll a 12, that gets paid 3-to-1. All other numbers, the 5, 6, 7, 8, all lose. So it's not a great bet, but it's okay. But it's a pretty popular bet. And I also added support for the hard way bets that I experimented a little bit with during the when the stream was getting started here. So that's what I did last week. What I want to work on today is to continue work on adding remaining craps bets. I have just a small handful remaining here. We have a bunch of proposition bets, the any craps that pays 7.5 to 1. We have any 7 pays 4 to 1, and that's a terrible payout, but it's a very common payout for casinos. There's a better bet, which is to place the corresponding hop bets You have to split your bet into 3 different hot bets, and those will actually pay out quite a bit better than the any 7 bet. But any 7 is popular, and so that's one that I will keep around. Let's see, there's probably another bet to consider, the horn. I know I've seen the horn bet before on craps tables, and I think similar to like the any craps in 97, it is a combination of a handful of different bets. Let me just go look at how the horn bet works here. I have my player guide, and my player guide links to this craps basic page from Wizard of Odds, so I can see if they have a horn bet here. Now, there are various ways of making combinations of prop bets. One common one is the horn bet, which is divided equally between the 2, 3, 11, and 12. So the player will make horn high, which doubles the bet on one of those numbers. The other common bet is the world, which is 5 equal bets on the 2, 3, 7, 11, 12. Yeah, so the horn and the world, I will probably ignore those because players can make those bets themselves. Any 7 is pretty popular. Let me just do a quick Google search and see, actually images.google, and see what craps table layouts do with the horn and whatnot here. Let's... I don't want to see eBay listings, I just want to see images. This must be out sponsored links. Yeah, so there's no real horn or world here. Hey, I won $57. Yay! Too low resolution, I can't see what's going on there. Oh yeah, so there's the horn. Pretty custom or different layout than I'm used to. Looks like this crap table's been cut in half. Weird. Stock image, and I don't see a horn here. Yeah, so that's a good question. What to do with those kind of bets, those unusual bets that are combination bets. We have, let's just add these at the end here. We can suggest the horn, which was what again? 2, 3, 11, 12. 2, 3, 11, 12. There's the world bet, which is what again? 2, 3, 7, 11, 12. So 2, 3, 7, 11, 12. And since those bets can be made other ways, I'll probably just allow those bets to be made through the hot bet system, which we haven't added yet. But if people request, we can always consider adding the horn in the world directly. Some other things we got going on here. Add incremental balance adjustment. This is so if someone bets their entire balance in one fell swoop, they don't get it all back immediately. If they lose it, they get it back over time. So So that way someone can't try to game the system to get high on the leaderboard, to make a low quality bet that has a high payout, to just keep making that until you hit it, and then you get a high score for the leaderboard right away. So we want to try to avoid that issue. Allow players to change existing bets. A whole lot of logic here. Keep placing buy bets around after the win. Allow players to serve as the bank. Add ability to turn bets on and off, and then automatically turn bets on and off the same way a casino will. So those are kind of the tasks I want to work on going forward. I'll get through some of this today. We will continue on as best we can. To start today, I saw a minor issue, which is there isn't really good consistent formatting for amounts. You can see on the last message right now it says Cute Pixel 1, $57. There's no colon between the 1 and the 57. If you scroll up a little bit farther in chat, depending on when you joined, there's where I made the bet. It says bet made colon and then the amount where the bet was made. So I want to just review currency formatting. And just make sure that all of those messages are consistent. I think I like the colon between the text and the dollar amount. And so that's just what I want to do, is just go through and make sure that is all consistent. So let's get started here. I'm just going to go look for a spot where we do format currency. Just see how this gets used here. So this is the function. I just want to see how this function gets used. Yeah, so here's the won and lost. So these, I believe that I want a colon after the won and a colon after the lost to make that more consistent. Here we have balance from the balance command. Balance and available balance both have a colon after it, so those look correct. Here we have bet to display. This will show you each bet you've made and the amount. And there's a colon between the bet type and the amount. Bet exceeds your available balance of splat. And so I think what I could do is say bet exceeds available balance, colon, and then the amount. Bet made, colon, and then the amount. Bet exceeds your maximum odds bet, so let's say... I probably do want to say your unavailable balance. Let's go back. Bet exceeds your available balance of, colon, amount. Bet made, that looks fine. Bet exceeds your maximum odds bet of, get rid of the of and insert a colon space. And we're back into the front. So let's just do a quick review and make sure that all of these were hit properly. So one lost has the colon after it. Balance already does, available balance does as well. You display all of your bets using the bets command that uses a colon between the type and the amount. Bet exceeds your available balance, colon, amount. Bet made, colon, amount. Bet exceeds your maximum odds bet, colon, amount. Looks good. So let's just do a quick test with this. Actually, let's take a quick look at the code here and just remind ourselves of what's changed. So won and lost, available balance, and maximum odds. So those are the three cases we want to test here. So let's bounce our server and give it a try. So first was available balance. So let's just do a large bet and see what that looks like here. So check my balance, craps, balance. All right, so 1,541. So let's say craps bet pass of 2,000. that exceeds your available balance, colon 1541.93. So that works. What else do we have? Bet exceeds your maximum odds bet of splat. So let's make a pass line bet and exceed my available odds bet for that. So craps bet pass of 5. And since we're testing, let's just force a roll here. Say craps roll 2-2 to force a point of 4. Say craps bet pass odds. My maximum odds would be 50, so let's bet, what would it be, 500? Oh, let's go with something huge, let's say 1,000, because I forget what the max odds would be. Looks like 50, all right. Bet exceeds your maximum odds bet, colon 50, so that much works. Now we need to win and lose to test those messages, so let's go ahead and test a win. So craps roll 2-2 to win. What was made? And I won, colon, $5. Or 5 units. It's not really dollars. I use this fake currency, so I should say 5 units instead of $5. And now let's force a loser to test the message when you lose. So let's say craps bet pass line for 5 units again. And let's force a loser. Say craps roll 6-6 is a craps, and that should force a loser here. Excellent. So all those messages are now working. Just a pretty simple change, but I just wanted to test it and make sure I haven't done any, introduced any bugs by that change. Let's see here. Standardized message formatting. When talking about amounts, for amounts, maybe. I hate commit messages like this because it's a pretty minor thing. I'm not really formatting amounts, I'm formatting things around the amounts. I can say updated message formatting. We don't have to be too specific there. If people want to know exactly what was changed, they should just look at the diff. Alright, so that task is complete. We've reviewed our currency formatting, and now we move on to remaining craps bets. So the first on my list is any craps. This is a 2, 3, or 12. Those are the craps rolls. And based on my notes here, I've decided to play or make a payout of 7.5 to 1. If I look at the craps guide I brought up earlier, yeah, this we have. Why are they bugging me with these newsletters? Any craps is a 2, 3, or 12. You know, here's a couple different payout options for different casinos. 7 to 1 is a 11.11% house edge. 7.5 to 1, which is what I've documented, is a 5.56% house edge. And so I'm purposely kind of choosing options here that have a better house edge than other options. Because it's all fake money, who cares? I don't need to make any money off this. And so I'm trying to go with more generous house edge. These bets are already pretty, not so great, pretty crappy. And so giving a better house edge isn't a huge deal on these. So that's why I'm going to the 7.5 to 1 for the payout on any craps. So let's go take a look at the code. Well, first, I think I did commit. Let me just make sure that did get committed. I haven't pushed. I'll hold off for a little bit before I push. I like to group up my commits when I push. let's take a look. We're going to build the any craps. I think in my notes I have what I want this to look like. We have craps, bet any craps, followed by the amount. That's what the bet will look like, or what I hope the bet will look like. So let's go take a look here. Yeah, so here we have our data structure for where we track our bets. We have our pass odds, don't pass odds, and field. And then we have all the bets that are tied to specific numbers. The come bets, the come odds bets, the don't come odds. All these, even the hard ways, are all tied to a specific number, and so I use a sparse array to track those bets. What I'm going to do instead, since these bets, the any craps, don't attach to a specific number, I'm just going to do just like the field bet. We'll say any craps bets. And now I just want to look through the code and look for any places where we iterate through all the bets and make sure that we add support for that. I think there's like 3 or 4 spots where we iterate over all of the bets here. First is initialization. We don't have to touch initialization because this is only for these sparse arrays, and the any craps bet is not a sparse array. Nothing with the timer. Here we have kind of supporting functions. Get available balance. This does change here. So we have field bets, and let's just add it here. So available balance minus equals this dot any craps bets. we have process roll, and we have all these other functions we use here. Process come bets, process number bets, process field bets, process hard bets. We're going to have a couple of prop bets coming up here. We have any craps, any 7, and the easy and hard hop bets. Any craps is easy enough to resolve, as well as any 7. And so we could just throw it in here. We could say, handle any craps bets. Let's just grab this here. So if die total is 2, 3, or 12, that is a craps. Let's see, we want to say that they've won. So process bets, in this case, it's not pass bets, but is any craps bet. Not quite bet 1, we need to, because bet 1 only plays 1-to-1, we need to look at how to handle this properly. And I think we have, here we go. We have bet 1 multiplier, so let's go grab this guy. The multiplier is going to be 7.5. So if you bet $1, you should get paid $7.50. So that's if you win. However, if you don't do that, then you have a loser, and this needs to be processed as well. In this case, it is still any craps bets, and it is bet lost. This is small enough I can put this on the same line as the else. So nice and simple. You either hit the 2, 3, or 12 and you win, or you hit anything else and you lose. So let's give that a quick try. Just go ahead and say craps bet any craps for 10. And let's force a winner, so craps roll 1-to-1. Ooh, 75. Let's just try the $1 bet and make sure that works as well. So craps bet any craps for $1. Craps roll, let's go 1-2 to make sure that works. 750, excellent. Make sure my bets are being cleared out. Oops. Craps bets. Alright, great. Finally, let's do another bet. Say craps bet any craps. Let's go 5. And craps roll 6-6. $137.50, so that works as well. And finally, let's do a loser here. So craps bet any craps. Let's go 5 and 10. Craps roll 3-4. Yeah, so I don't think I want to test every single thing here, but we can just do some quick tests. Let's say craps bet any craps for $1, and we'll just let that automatically roll for a little bit while we think about what's next and look at, let's look at our documentation. We haven't updated that yet, so we'll do that while that continues to run in the background. Yeah, so we'll do this in the same order that it appears in our code. We have any craps after the field. And for some of these where the payout isn't always set, I do kind of want to cover that as well and let people know what the payout's going to be. Okay, so I lost 1 unit when I rolled a 10. Let's place this bet again. So craps bet any craps for $1. Yeah, so for any of these where the payout is is maybe variable, and depending on the casino, I do want to just indicate what the payout is going to be here. So pass and pass odds and don't pass odds are all pretty basic. Field, I might want to add some notes about how the field gets paid. Come odds, don't come odds. They're all pretty standard. Place and place to lose are standard. Buy and lay are pretty standard. The commission being charged when bet is 1 is the thing that needs to be specified, and hard ways are pretty standard. Let's just double check. Yeah, so you have prop bets, and these are all have a variety of different payouts here. I think these aren't talking about different payouts, these are just talking about the different, or just computing the house odds for different results here. Australia, they add 0.5 to all hardway wins for 9.5 on the 6 and 8 to 7.5. So Australia makes things a little bit better. I think I'll stick with the United States rolls for these things here. Yeah, it looks like the hops bets are really the only ones. Oops. The prop bets / hops bets are really the only ones that have any variety. Now, there's also the field. Not everyone pays double on the 2 or triple on the 3. Looks like Vegas and Reno switch things back and forth, so I'll probably want to define what the field does. But I think for right now, we will just define what any craps pay 7.5 to 1. We'll add the field in just a second. Let's just wrap up the any craps first. So let's take a look at our code. So we've added the new any craps bets map. We've added logic to computing the available balance to include the any craps bet. We've added the bet handling logic. If you roll 2, 3, or 12, that wins 7.5 to 1. If you roll anything else, that loses. We add any craps bets logic to our bets exist function. So if the bets exist, we will consider it automatically roll. It's a little bit not unnecessary because these are one roll bets, but I like to be complete just in case we do change logic at some point in the future. I want to make sure that that is handled. And here we print out the bets, the any craps bets, when the players ask for all their bets. And now we have making the bet. So when someone types in the any craps bet, we make that bet for them and add that to our documentation. Add support for any craps bets. Let's see, before I push, I do want to make a slight change to our field bet. 2 pays 2 to 1. 12 pays 3 to 1. And we can clarify and say that, what's the other options here? 3, 4, 9, 10, 11 pays 1 to 1. So 3, 4, 9, 10, 11 pays 1 to 1. Semicolons between these. So 3, 4, 9, 10, 11 pays 1 to 1. If I could add this to all of these, we could say pays 1 to 1. Pays true odds. I don't know. I'm debating if I want to clarify all these payouts and all these bets. We do link to the craps guide, or the craps basics document from Wizard of Odds that describes all these bets and the typical payouts. And so for stuff like pass and odds, I don't feel like I need to announce what those payouts are. Field is right on the edge. I think I will get rid of this section and just keep this, because that's going to be the part that is a little, that it might be variable. Otherwise, I think I'm going to keep everything else the same. Let's say we'll clarify. Let's see, document. Payouts. For 2 and 12 on the field bet. Because those are perhaps not clear, or perhaps might be variable depending on the exact casinos. As the note said, Las Vegas does one thing, Reno does something else. Or is it Reno, or is it something else? Let's see. Ah, yes, Las Vegas is one thing, Reno is something else. So we're going to go with Vegas payouts. Vegas, baby! And now let's go ahead and push this and double check our documentation. Make sure that it does show up correctly on GitHub. Let's go bring up our player guide. As here's the field. 2 pays 2 to 1, 12 pays 3 to 1. So we've added any craps, and we say pay 7.5 to 1. So I think that looks good. What's next on our list? So we have any 7. This pays 4 to 1, and I have in my notes here that this is a terrible bet. Let's go remind ourselves why that's a terrible bet. So here, 87 pays 4 to 1, has a house edge of 16.67. Hot tip, if you must bet on a 7, don't make the 87 bet with a house edge of 16.67. Instead, divide your bet by 3 and put 1/3 each on the 1, 6, 2, 5, and 3, 4 hot bets. Even at the stingy payoff of 15 to 1, you'll still lower the house edge to 11.11. So we look at those hot bets. Those are probably all the easy hot bets. And we could pay 14 to 1, which has the same house edge as any 7 on 4 to 1. But if we do a 15 to 1 or a 16 to 1, which is what we've defined, that provides a much better house edge. I tried to do the math to figure out what the payout would be for any 7 to make that house edge be the same, and just couldn't figure it out. So I'm just going to keep the any 7 the same at 4 to 1, and just note that anyone who wants to actually place that should be making the more appropriate hot bets and to get a better payout. But I'll leave that up to the user to figure out. Just like when you're in a craps table in a real casino, they're not going to actually make it clear all the good and bad bets you should be making. So it's kind of up to the user or the player to know how they should play. Yeah, so let's go look up any 7 and start adding that to the code here. So as with the any craps bets, we'll add in a new data structure. We'll say any 7 bets. We'll just go through and add in references to it everywhere where we refer to all of the bets. We have initialization. I'm not going to do it here because we're not using an array to track these bets. We're just using a map. So there's no initialization. Get available balance. This does need to be adjusted here. Hello, Pixel Grief. Welcome back to the stream. How is it going? So we add in any 7 bets to the get available balance. Now we have all of the bet handling logic for paying out bets and causing bets to lose. We're going to save this logic to the very end, so I'm not going to add that just yet. More bet handling logic, so still skipping over this. This file is getting longer and longer and longer the more logic I add to it here, the more code I add in. Alright, so here we have the bets exist function. This is used to determine if any bets still exist, and is used to determine if we continue to automatically roll the dice. So I add in any 7 bets to this. And I think the next is going to be the bets command. Here we go. So we display any 7, we process the any 7 bets map. I think that's it until we get to adding in support for the bet. And here we go, we have any craps, so let's add in any 7 after this. And as with the any craps, there's no additional logic, so just the basic handle bet should work just fine. And we have no additional check functions. We'll pass an undefined for our check function. This shall allow us to make the bet. It doesn't actually resolve the bet yet. I'll test that. I'll test making the bet first, and then I'll test resolving the bet. So let's go give this a try. So let's go ahead and place the any 7 bet. Craps bet any 7. Place $5 on it. That's been made. Let's check my balance. Say craps balance. Make sure my balance has been adjusted. And make sure that the bet shows up when I do the craps bets. And now if I try to make the bet again, it should complain. So craps bet any 7. Let's do it for 15, just so we do a different amount. And it says you've already made this bet. So all the logic for placing the bet works. And all the other spots seem to work as well. So now let's look up how to resolve the bet. So we have handle any craps bets. Let's go add in handle any 7 bets. So if die total is equal to 7, that's really all that matters. We'll get rid of everything else. The process bets, in this case it's any 7 bets. Any 7 bets when it's lost. The multiplier is 4, is what we've decided in our notes here. It pays 4 to 1. And I think this is small enough I could do it in 1 line, so let's go see if we can pull that off here. Yes, just barely. So if I total is 7, you win, otherwise you lose. And you get paid 4 to 1. So let's go take a look and see if this works. Say craps bet any 7. Let's bet it for 1. Craps roll 3, 4. And we won $4. Now let's do craps balance. Make sure that our balance is still correct. Make sure that our bet is no longer listed. Now let's force a loser. Let's say craps bet any 7 for $1 again. Craps roll, let's go 5, 6. And I lost $1. No! So nice and simple. Let's go add in the documentation. any 7 pays 4 to 1. And that's actually pretty simple. Let's go look at the code. And so we've added our new any 7 bets map. We've adjusted our available balance function to take it into account. We've added bet handling, so if you roll a 7, you win 4 to 1. Otherwise, you lose. We've added in logic for the bets exist function, so if you have any bets on the any 7, that does return true. We've added the bet display. We've added any 7 to the bet display function, and then we've added any 7 to the bet handling that allows you to place the bet. And we've added documentation. And we've defined what the payout is for the any 7. So add support for any 7 bet. Since we've changed the documentation, let's go ahead and push that immediately and just review that the documentation does look correct. Yeah, so we have any craps, and then following that we have any 7 pays 4 to 1. So that looks good. Now we have the hop bets. We have the hard hop bets and the easy hop bets. The hard hop bets are where you roll the same number on both dice. 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, etc. The easy hop bets are where you have the different numbers on each dice. So there's one way to hit all of the hard hop bets. There's 2 ways to hit all of the easy hop bets. The reason for that is because when you bet, like say you want to bet a 7, you want to bet a 1-6 for the 7, whether you roll a 1-6 or a 6-1, it's considered the same in craps, because they have no way of knowing which die is which. And while in my code I do know which die is which, I randomly determine a die 1 and randomly determine a die 2, so I could do more elaborate checks. I'm going to do the same thing they do in the craps table and just assume that we can't tell the dice apart and do the same payouts. And so kind of thinking these through here, I think we're going to want arrays for these, and probably a 2-dimensional array. So let's go ahead and add that, just start working on that to see what it looks like here. So we go to the very top where we have all of our bets. We have our hard bets, now let's add in hop bets. And initialization, we have initialized bets arrays, so this is so none of these are going to be good for me. I probably want to say initialize hop bets array. The indices are going to be 1 through 6. I don't think I'm going to need to document the indices because they're not going to be quite as unusual. Let's just grab some code here. So for I is equal to 1. I is less than or equal to 6. I plus plus. So we're going to go 1 through 6. We're going to have for j is equal to I, j less than or equal to 6, j plus plus. We'll say this dot hop bets sub I sub j is equal to new map. Now, this is small enough, I could probably do this in one line. Yeah, why not? So we're basically doing the same layout that I've done with my notes here. We initialize 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 5, 1, 6. When we get to the second index for that first element, then we're going to initialize the second element starting with index 2. So we go from 1, 6 to 2, 2, 2, 3, 2, 4, 2, 5, 2, 6, and then 3, 3. We get to the very end, and we're only going to have one element for that last array. The last index is going to have index 6, 6. So it's basically what's happening here. Is we initialize the second element based on what the current element, the first index is. We're probably going to need this a couple of times here, so we've got to copy paste that, and we'll have that available for when we need it. Alright, so I think the next place we're going to need this is in the get available balance. So let's take a look here. We iterate over bets arrays, iterate over hard bets array, and then we're going to say iterate over hops bet array. And yeah, this is going to be complex enough that we're going to need to make a compound statement for this. I'm pretty sure we'll see if we can fit it in, but I'm pretty sure we're not going to be able to fit this in. So available balance minus equals this get bet, and we pass in the hop bet sub I sub j. I can't imagine this will fit, but yeah, that's just too big. Yeah, just thinking through a few things here, just pausing for a second while I think through. But I think this is good. I think this part is done. Let's continue on. Let's actually copy paste this for the next section here. So that's available balance. The next up is going to be bets exist. I'm just going to page through this till I get to the bets exist section. iterate over hops bet array. So in this case, it's if this, if hard bets dot size, so it's if this hop bets dot size is greater than 0, return true. And as before, I bet this is going to be too big to fit on one line. I'll try it anyways. Oh, it is just barely too big. Anything we could do to trim this down here? It's already pretty close. They could always switch these less than equal 6s into be less than 7s. But I like having it be visible that we're going from 1 to 6. I like that to be rather apparent here. Especially since we're doing a 1-based counting for these arrays. 1-based indexing for these arrays. It's complex enough, and they've got a for, an if, and a return statement all in one line right now, and that's, I think, complex enough that it justifies doing that. Yeah, so I think that looks good. The next is going to be the bets list, or the bets command. I'll go ahead and grab this again, just so we have this handy. It occurs to me we have this repetitive pattern here, where I'm copy-pasting this block of code 3 or 4 times, and I've done this several times now. We've done it with the hard bets, the other number bets. And I probably could do a refactoring where I do that iteration in one spot, pass in a snippet or a JavaScript function to run in its place. So the real question is does that make the code easier to read and process, or does that make it harder to read and process? It would kind of split this logic into lots of different places, and I'm not sure that would be a positive change. I'm always keeping an eye out for duplicate code and ways of making sure there is as minimal duplicate code as possible. But at some point, there's kind of an edge you cross and go over, and it no longer helps. And I'd be a little concerned that would not help. So I'm not going to eliminate that bit of duplicate code right now. That is something that's kind of on my mind. I'll continue to think about and see if there is the possibility of doing that. Alright, so now I have the bets command. This is where we display all of the bets. Get it over hop bets array. I'll just grab this bit here. So if bet display, we need to pass in the hop bets rather than the hard bets. Oh, okay, this this will be interesting. We need to think about display for this. So we have hop. So let's go look at the code again. We said hop followed by the first number followed by the second number. So I think we could do hop plus I plus a space plus J. And I think that'll work. Alright, now we need to allow a player to place this bet. And so if we follow the order of the code, this would go right here. And we're going to need a new function to deal with this. We have the hard bet function, handle hard bet. Let's go look at that. I thought that would be closer to the end, but I guess not. Bet point, get bet hard point. This would be a get number. Yeah, get bet number. You must specify a number, enable to parse number. Bet point calls get bet number, then make sure it's between 4 and 10 and not 7. Get bet hard point calls get bet point and also confirms that it's not 5 or 9. So we could call get bet number and then verify that it's between 1 and 6. Do that for both numbers. Now the other option, we have another approach to this when we have our roll command. Let's go look up our roll command. First we make sure they must specify 2 values. That's going to be an improvement over using the get bet number, because get bet number assumes only 1 value. And so if you don't give it any values, it'll complain and say you must specify a number. If you give it only 1 number, it'll still complain and still say you must specify a number. So it's not going to be particularly clear. And so I think doing a structure similar to this would be useful. But we have a bit of duplicate code here, and we could parse this out or extract this out, refactor it so that this duplicate code is in a single spot. You know, like a get number pair or something. Let's think through what that would look like. have roll command, process command. Oh, where would this go? And what will we call it? I do have kind of helper functions between these, just trying to think of placement for this. So let's go ahead and throw it here. Let's do a get command die rolls. I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure if this is going to be entirely great because we have this. Yeah, we have this split here, and we check the length of the split. Split just returns an array of strings. For the roll command, we're only going to need two things. In fact, I think I still have the bot running. Yeah, so if I run the roll command, let's go back to my chat window and give it, say, 3 values. Say, craps roll 1, 2, 3. That means you must specify 2 values. So that's a good error for the roll command. It's not so great for the bet, because the bet is going to have 3 values. We're going to have die roll 1, die roll 2, and then the amount. I don't know, I think there's enough difference right now. I'm going to just duplicate the logic and recognize that, yes, it's a bunch of duplicate code. And maybe kind of mentally think about that in the future and see if there's a way to clean that up and refactor it. It's only twice, so it's not a huge deal. And sometimes you need to implement it to see what the two versions are and figure out what is duplicate and what can be pulled out. And it might be more apparent what we can pull out once the logic is complete. So I think I am just going to implement the function as is and not worry too hard about removing duplicate code. So let's just grab this to say handle hops bet. The type is hop. And it's not hops bet, it should be hop bet. It's not beer, it's just a hop. And I'm not sure what to do with all this stuff yet. So let's go ahead and just copy and paste the logic for splitting out the stuff at this point, splitting out the die rolls. Let's see, where is it? Now we'll just grab all of this and see what this says. Alright, so we want the command, the bet, to start with something. Let's go look up what the get number does. Get bet number. So if bet starts with type, kind of want to test a couple things here, see what index of does with a couple things, because I might be able to simplify this logic. So let's go look for, or split. Sorry, let's look for split. And see if we could just do some quick tests here with this guy here. Let's go comment out everything. And we'll say var foo is equal to, say, empty string. Let's say foo.split based on space. I say let's just do console.log that split and see what it says here. There gives me one array with the empty string. So that's unfortunate. I was hoping that split might return nothing if it's empty. But it might still be workable, because what we want to do... Well, let's see here. Because we're going to have a command that looks like what? That's going to look like this here. And so when we get into here, we're going to have just this. Actually, no, we're going to have just this. The type, the 2 dice, and then the amount. And then we do this substring junk on it. Let's see how the handle or get number works. Yeah, we do this parseInt, we do bet substring type length dot trim. So let's look at this. So let's say we have a bet says hop. Now let's say console.log foo.substring 3. Nice if it was to give us some delimiters here. So let's say open brackets plus and a close bracket. Alright, so an empty string. Give it a space. And so I'll probably want to do a trim. Oh, right. The trim should be here. Back to empty string. And so basically what I'm trying to do is to make it so we have the same result whether the user specifies hop with a space or hop without a space. And I think we're there. So if we say hop with no space, you get empty string, hop with a space, empty string, hop with a space, followed by 2 numbers. You get the 2 numbers. And if we do the full thing, hop with a space and a bet amount, we get the 2 die rolls followed by the amount. And I think that'll work. Yeah, so let's go take a look here. So I don't even care about this. I don't think I care about this. Because what I think I will do is say, let's just comment this out for now till I know if we're using it or not. We'll comment this out. Data is command.substring. Now we'll consider to call it data for now. Command substring. It is type.length. The predecessor is what we did in the get number, get bet number. Yeah, type.length here. So we could say maybe die data is equal to that. Die values is equal to that. And now let's keep it original data values, because there's going to be more values than just dice. So we have, so data is equal to everything after the hop type. Values is going to be a array of strings split around space, and so there should be 3 values there. Now we could say if this is less than 2, because there should be 3, but if there isn't 3, if there's 2 but there's not 3, we have error handling to handle that case. So I think we only care about if there's less than 2 at this point. You must specify 2 die values. Yeah, so let's start with that. Let's move this up so that's kind of out of our way. We've got our type. I have die 1, parse int value is 0, die 2 value is 1. And it'll parse die values. Die values must be between 1 and 6. So I think we're good so far. Alright, so this is the code we copy-pasted before. We don't need any of this, so we can drop that and that. We need to come up with the bet type that we're going to pass in. So we could say do a type is equal to, well, no, we could just do this. We could say type plus a set of number becomes die 1 plus space plus die 2. That becomes the full type. We need to pass in the new array, so this is going to be hop bets. Die 1 and die 2. Now we're not quite done yet because the user can specify the dice in any order. So in our documentation here, or in my notes here, I have assumed that the first number is going to always be the lower number, but some crafty user could type in, craps bet hop 6 1. And that still should be valid, but it is not what is expected by my code, because our arrays assume a certain order for those values. And so what I need to do at this point is say, of course we want this type to remain the same, so we want this type to be dependent upon what the user specified, because that's going to be needed by the code. We want these to be based on the actual order. So we could say var index 1 is equal to die1, var index 2 is equal to die2, and say if index 2 is greater than index 1, var temp is equal to index 2, index 1, index 1 is equal to index 2, index 2 is equal to temp, the standard number swap. Functionality there. And now let's try this. Say index 1. Of course, I hate those names. If I'm going to do something so generic such as index 1 and index 2, why not just call it I and J? So I think I'm going to do that. I'll say I is die1, J is die2. If J is greater than I, actually I want to do this opposite. If I is greater than J, so temp is equal to I is equal to J is equal to temp. Then we just pass in I and J here, so that'll be more like we would expect. And makes that line a little bit smaller. Now we could potentially do a compound statement here for both of these. Would that be easier? Let's go see what that looks like. Or not a compound statement, but the trinary operators. We could say if die1 is greater than die2, if that's true, then let's do die1. Otherwise, we'll do die2. I think we might have this backwards again because we want the smaller number to always be first. So if die1 is less than die2, we'll put die1 first. If die1 is less than die2, we'll put die2 second. Higher die as the first index. Not index, but access. Making sure that we access our hop better way with the higher die as the first index. And I think that is nice and simple there. Alright, so we have die1, die2 that we use to process the type. We have I and J that we use to access the index. And then we go into handle bet. And I think that should be enough to process and allow a user to place the bet. I'm a little nervous because it's a bunch of code, so let's give that a try and see what it does here. All right, I got my little test set up. Let's actually undo all my testing here. My editor doesn't always do what I would like. Just do a quick git status, make sure I haven't done anything to that file. That looks good, and let's give it a try. Alright, something doesn't work here. Cannot set property 1 of undefined. Alright. I screwed up. We need to actually initialize these arrays. So we got real clever with this, but it's not gonna be what we want. We can't do all this in one line. As nice as that looked, it's just not going to be possible, because now we need to do something like this and say this dot hotbet sub I is equal to an empty array. And then we could do this. Now this we can do as one line. That'll work there. So that should be fine there. Let's give that a try. Okay, so that worked. Let's go ahead and just do some basic testing of this. Say craps bet hops. If I pass in nothing or hop, you must specify a number. So I think I haven't updated the call to this function that we've built, this handle hops bet. Handle hop bet. Let's get rid of that. Handle hop bet. So let's go call handle hop bet from our command processor. Handle hop bet. Because that's the code for the hard bet that we're looking at there, or the message information from the hard bet. So let's test the hard or the hop bet instead. So craps bet hop crash. Command is not defined. All right, so I have some copy pasta issue. This is line, it's like 914. Right, so it is bet, not command. And I think that is good. So let's just give that another try here. So craps bet hop. Must specify 2 die values. Alright, so craps bet hop AB. Unable to parse die values. Alright, so craps bet hop. Let's give it a good value for the first one and garbage for the second one. Alright. Craps bet hop. Garbage for the first and good value for the second. Alright, now let's say craps bet hop 11 and 12. They're good numbers, but they're not proper die values. Die values must be between 1 and 6. Ah, good. I did write that code. I wasn't sure if I added that check there. Excellent, I did. Let's make sure that, whoops, let's go back to here. Let's say craps, bet, hop. Let's do it in the reverse order. We'll say 6 and 1. We'll see if I got this correct here and see what that does. You must specify an amount. Craps, bet, hop, 6, 1, 1. Bet made for $1. Let's say craps bets. Okay, good. So that is working. So it did swap those values. Just wanted to make sure that this was correct. So if die 1 is less than die 2, use die 1. Actually, we want the lower die as the first index. So I think the code is correct, but the comment is incorrect. The lower die is the first index, because if we look back at our code here, the first number is always the lower number. And as the first number gets higher, we have less entries in for that second index. So ensure that we access our hotbed array with the lower die as the first index. The code is correct, the comment was off. And the code does seem to be working. And so I think this much is working. Let's see what happens if we try to place the bet a second time. So craps, bet, hop, 6, 1, 4, 10. I've already made this bet. So let's go ahead and just make a couple others. Say here, let's say craps, bet, hop, 1, 1, 4, 5. Craps, bet, hop, 2, 3, 4, 10. Craps, bet, hop, 3, 2, 4, 10, and that should complain. All right. Let's say craps, bets, just to make sure that the display is working well here. So we have 1, 1 for 5, 1, 6 for 1, 2, 3 for 10, and that's all we've made so far. So that seems to be working. Let's do craps, balance. And make sure that that much works as well here. So I should drop off 16 units. 52 minus 16, that's 2, 6, 3, 36. Yeah, 1636, so the math is correct. So all the hops bets are being computed there. And so I think we're working. It's going to keep rolling because I don't have any bet processing logic at this point. Let's go ahead and stop that so it doesn't keep running in the background. I'm just trying to think through what to do next here. I've got to change some of the error messages from this copy-pasted code from the roll command. So I think I do want to go back and update the roll command to use these new error messages. So let's go look at that and just go do that while I'm thinking about it here. Let's just do a git diff. You must specify 2 die values. Let's see, 2 die values. So you must specify 2 die values. We have unable to parse die values, which we've done. Values must be between 1 and 6. Die values must be between 1 and 6. Excellent, so just doing some quick changes there to make sure those error messages are the same. And so what's next? I think we're pretty close to being able to process these bets. So let's go look at the code to process bets and see where we're at. So we have process roll, we have process come bets, process number bets, process field bets, process hard bets. Probably the next is I want to add like a process prop bets or process hop bets. Because any craps, any 7, those are all hop bets. They're basically one roll bets. So let's go add in a function here for processing hop bets. Process hop bets. Now, as before, we're going to need the die total, so we'll compute that again. We compute the die total in multiple occasions, multiple places. It's a small bit of duplicate code, but it's not large enough that I'm really going to worry about it too hard. Let's go slap this into the handle or process hop bets section. Process hop bets. But then we can drop this. So this will make this function just a little bit smaller. Again, I like only handling just the core craps table logic in this function. You know, the what happens if you don't have a point, what happens if you do have a point, what happens if you roll a 7 or 11, you know, all the basic main craps table logic I want to go here. Everything else I'm pulling out into other functions. Alright, so now we need to process all of the individual hop bets. We probably need to do some logic here for die 1, die 2. Because again, these need to be indexed properly. I'm not sure if I can call them I and j here because we're also going to have a loop. So let me just write out the pseudocode here. So pull out bets for the specific die roll. They win. All other hop bets lose. So I can say hop bets for the specific die roll win. All other hop bets lose. So for this, we're going to have a loop that looks... I don't know where I have it. Probably down below a little bit. We'll go find it. It'll look something like this. There's going to be a this.process bets. And we're going to pass in the hop bets sub I sub j. Now they're going to lose. So this is the lose section. All other bets lose. We need to figure out the win section. And it's going to look something like this. I'm going to just go grab the logic I built earlier. I can do var I and j, but then we also use var I and j here as well, and I don't think JavaScript will allow that. I'm curious if JavaScript will. Let's just test it and see what it does. If I say var I is equal to 5, console.log I, var I is equal to 6. Will that allow that? What will happen? Okay, so it seems to just ignore the second variable declaration. What if I just say this? I just want to do a quick look or a quick research on JavaScript variable scope. So JavaScript variable scope. JavaScript has two scopes, global and local, and a variable declared outside of a function belongs to the global scope and is therefore accessible from anywhere. Ugh, I was reading that. Thank you. From anywhere in your code. Each function has its own scope and a variable declared within that function, and I don't want notifications. Jeez. Because local scope in JavaScript is created by functions is also called function scope. When you put a function inside another function, we're going to create nested scope. JavaScript does not support block-level scoping. There's the let keyword. I've heard of that before. Var test I'm global, var test I'm local. Hoisting. So var state variable declaration, state variable definition, assignment declaration plus definition. All variable declarations are moved to the top of their scope. This is called hoisting, as the variable declarations are hoisted to the top. Only moves the declaration and assignments are left in place. Huh. Okay. Well, what happens if you define the variable twice? Or declare a variable twice. It's not really define, but declare. So say JavaScript declare variable twice. Is that an issue if I declare a variable twice in the same scope? Well, what are they doing? With my cursor here. This has got to be April Fool's joke here. It's not quite April 1st for me, but happy April 1st to those who are in the in further out time zones. Wow. Will the following code cause any issues? I'm going to stop moving my mouse because that's too much. That's hilarious though. A equal 1 equal 2 minus this process has var foo var. See what it says here. gonna say it doesn't give us any error, and what we've seen is it doesn't give us any error, so I think we're okay. Let's undo all of this. So yeah, I think it'll be fine, because we use INJ here to make the bet win, and then we use INJ again to make the bet lose, and I think it is perfectly reasonable. Alright, so let's make them win. So if, actually we just need to do process bets. Hop bets I and J is bet win. Now there's going to be a multiplier, so let's go ahead and grab this. Now the multiplier is a little interesting. We have two possible multipliers here. Let's go look at our code. We say that hard hop bets pay 33 to 1 and easy hop bets pay 16 to 1. So if I and J are the same, based on hard or easy hop bets. So if actually no, let's say var multiplier is equal to I equal to J, then the multiplier, so that would be a hard hop bet. The hard one is 33, otherwise it becomes 16. Alright, so now let's pull out our comment that we've crafted earlier, our pseudocode. So hop bets for the specific die roll win. And now let's do this and say hop bets for, oops, all other bets lose. I don't know why that didn't copy the right thing. All other hop bets lose. Is this small enough I can move this on one line? Probably not. Nah. Works better for the comment anyways. Just kind of looking through this, making sure everything looks good. And also looking at the comments and make sure that the sections of this function look good as well. Feels pretty good. Let's give it a try, see what it does, and see how it works. So first, let's go place a... and that Stack Overflow is just driving me crazy. every time I see that, that pop up. Let's see here. Let's say craps bet hop. And let's try a hard hop, say 1-1 for $1. So craps roll 1-1. That should pay 33 to 1. Is that what you said? Yeah, you did say 33 to 1 there. So now let's try a easy hop. A craps bet hop 1-2. Actually, let's reverse that. 2-1 for 1. Craps bets to make sure that that is showing up properly. 1-2 for 1. So we've normalized the die order there. Now let's say craps roll, and we'll reverse this as well. Say 2-1 for that, and that should normalize that. We won 16. Let's make sure that is correct. So we're getting paid 16 to 1 there. Let's check our balance, make sure that there's no outstanding bets in our balance or affecting our balance. Say craps bets. Make sure we have no bets. So I'm not going to test a whole bunch of stuff here, but we can say, I don't know, what sort of edge cases we could try. Craps bet 6-6 for 6. Oops. Craps bet hop 6-6-6. And craps roll 6-6. Make sure that that edge case works. Hello, Pixel Grief. Yes, I see you're playing with the bot as well. You're welcome to do so. Everything should be working. As far as I can tell, everything is in place and working. So feel free to poke at it. You might be able to come up with some test cases I can't come up with. In the meantime, I'm going to look at the screen. Says, so poor. Well, I've been cheating because I've been using my developer tools to roll specific die values. Obviously, once I deploy this in a production context, I will wipe out my balance because that's cheating. If you want to improve your balance, you can always try to guess what I'm going to test next and best bet based on what I'm going to test. Of course, then you run the risk that a bug will strike you down. Disagree says, that's how I play in real casinos. Roll specific die rolls. Yeah, it's like, yeah, everyone, you don't mind if I'm going to just take the die and roll a 1 and another 1 and hit my hot bet? I'm sure you're fine with that, right? I can't imagine any problem with that. If only. If only that would work, I'd be a rich man. Alright, so just looking over the code here, we've added the hop bits array. This is actually a two-dimensional array. As I discovered during initialization, we need to initialize the second index, or the second dimension, before we start we need to initialize the first dimension before we start to initialize the second dimension. So we have our initialization, we have our available balance, we've added a process hop bets function. I should probably test the NE7 and the NE craps to make sure that those still work. So let's just try that. Let's say craps bet NE7 for $5, and craps bet any craps for $5. And we'll see what the automatic die roller does with that to just make sure that those things still work. So we move these over. We've added a new process hop bets function. We handle any craps. We handle any 7. Then we handle our hop bets. We ensure that we access our hop bet array with the lower die as the first index. Determine the multiplier based on hard or easy hop bets. Hop bets for the specific die roll win, and all other hop bets lose. Alright, so we've moved this block out and put that into the process hop bets function, so that should work. Let's do a quick test of that now, make sure that that logic is in place. What is this? I think this is if the bets exist. So this is the bets exist function. And so all my bets lose. I didn't roll a 7 and I didn't roll a craps. So let's try that again. Say craps bet any 7 for 5. Craps bet any craps for 5. And so we've done some minor cleanup with these error messages here just to make the error messages the same as the logic for processing the bet. This is the function for manually rolling the dice. And so those errors just got standardized a little bit there. And here is to display the hop bets. We iterate over every array or every map in that hop bet array. And then we've added in processing of the hop. We've added a new handle hop bet function. Let's see, to see how to play, let's bring up the help there. And that'll give you a brief example of how to play and the sort of commands that'll work there. I lost again, no! These hop bets are really crappy bets. Yeah, craps bet any 7 for 5. Craps bet any craps for 5. Alright, so we've got our handle hop bet function here. We hard code the type to be hop. We then get the data for the function by substringing everything after the type that we split on space. So this should give us an array. If everything is correct, we should get an array with 3 values in it, or 3 strings in it. If it was less than 2, then we know they did not specify 2 die values, so we complain about that in return. Otherwise we parse die 1, die 2. Make sure that they're numbers, otherwise we complain that we're unable to parse them. We make sure that they're between 1 and 6. Otherwise we complain die values must be between 1 and 6. Then we ensure that we access our hop bet array with the lower die as the first index. I lost again. I'll just keep betting on these until not this side again. Until I manage to win something. So say craps bet any 7 or 5. Craps bet any craps for 5. So die values must be between 1 and 6. Ensure that we access our hop bet array with the lower die as our first index. And then handle the bet, passing in the type plus die 1 plus die 2. Patrick Greer says, craps bet pass new shoes. Need a new pair of shoes. Yeah, we don't know what that amount is. So when we handle the bet, we pass in the type and die 1, die 2. So we use die 1 and die 2 rather than I and J, because we want the order to be the same as what the user used. So this is user order here, and then this is our index order here. And I think that's it. Let's also update our documentation, our player guide. And I'm just not rolling any 7s or craps anytime soon here, so let's try this again. Craps bet any 7 for 5. Craps bet any craps for 5. Let's see, let's actually add the documentation for the hop here. See, Piscograph suggests it would be great to make the roll stand out with highlighting. That's a good point. Let me add that to my notes here. Make the roll stand out with highlighting. Depending on what we want to do, we could... there's a couple of options. We could use Twitch emotes to highlight the roll. We could use the /me command to turn the roll into the same color as the bot username. Man, I just can't get a break off here. I'm not hitting any of these rolls over here. Say craps bet any 7 for 5. Craps bet any craps for 5. I'll just keep betting until I hit. I don't have a problem. I can quit anytime. Yeah, so a couple of ideas there. We can experiment with both of those and see if any of those work better than the other. See, bets that apply to a specific die result, such as the hop bet. Use this format, craps bet. Type is still the same. We'll say die 1 followed by die 2. And in fact, it's only the hop bet that does this, but we'll make it generic for the moment. Man, I just cannot get a break over here. Any craps for 5. Craps bet any 7 for 5. Alright, so we add the documentation. We have the hard, or a hop actually. Let's just do this. We'll say hop. Die 1, die 2. Yes, now you're hitting, Pixelgraph, you're hitting some of the limitations of the bot, which is you're not allowed to change an existing bet. It actually raised an interesting point in that I probably want to document the max odds. Let me add this as well. Document max odds. Mr. says probably okay for V1. Yeah, well, you know me, I like to have everything perfect. But I do have some notes to add support for that, and we'll see how far we get when we get there. But I'm pretty close. They give you 100 OGs in Vegas. Yeah, I think we allow 10 times odds for the moment. I am certainly willing to consider more than that. Hey, did I hit my 7? Did I bet my 7? Yes! Yeah, so document the max odds, make the roll stand out with highlighting. Let's go see what we got. Oh yes, and do we look at upcoming stuff here? So I do have a section to allow players to change existing bets. And so I think that is something I do want to implement rather soon, because I think it is important to you, particularly for things like place bets. You want to be able to incrementally increase those bets over time, and so I do want to implement that logic and allow players to increase their bets if they want, or decrease or remove them. I think it's all kind of one and the same there. So hot bet on the specified die result. Specified die roll. So I think that is good documentation. Let's take a look and see what that looks like here. Yeah, so we've added this new section here, bets that apply to a specific die result, such as the hop bet. Instead of die result, maybe die roll. We'll make that consistent. So bets that apply to a specific die roll, such as the hop bet, use this format. Craps bet type die 1, die 2 amount. And here's the documentation there down below. I think that looks good. Bets that apply to specific die roll, such as the hop bet, use this format. Craps bet type die 1, die 2 amount. Hop die 1, die 2, hop bet on the specified die roll. And I've already looked through the code, and I think the code looks good. And the testing we've been doing in the chat room seems like it's working well as well. I've lost several of my any craps and 87 bets, and I did win at least one of those. I'm pretty sure that's all working, and I've tested several other hot bets, and those all seem to be working. I'm convinced that much is working. Let's go ahead and commit. Add support for hop bets. Yeah, let's see. Have another request to document the max odds. So let's go look at how to document the max odds. Where would that go? Craps roll now. You're not authorized to use this command. Yeah, I've got a 1 minute delay on the rolling, because I found during testing, I've tried it with 30 seconds, and I found during testing that 30 seconds is just a little bit too fast if you're not familiar with the commands. Because it takes a little bit of time to figure out exactly how to get the bets that you want to make. But it is configurable. If 1 minute is too long, I can always make that shorter if people want. But I do want to allow people time to make bets and stuff like that. Alright, so we have play overview. So player guide, play overview. Where to do this? We could say something like maximum odds is 10x, something like that. I'm not sure. Picture says, no worries, make it feel like a real casino, completely lost and unable to get bets in. That is another option. Where you walk up to the craps table and it's like, oh my god, what is going on? Where would I want to put max odds here? Let's bring up the guide. Wow, this Stack Overflow or Stack Overflow is driving me crazy. Maybe we'll put it above the list of bets. Let's say maximum odds is 10x. Got a new section for supported bets. Or maybe available bets. Let's try that. Let's see what that looks like. We'll say add documentation for maximum odds, or add documentation on maximum odds. Go ahead and push that to GitHub and see what that looks like. Just like to make sure the documentation is updated correctly right away, just to confirm. So we've added maximum odds is 10x. We've added this header, available bets. Then we've added hop underneath that. So hop die 1, die 2, hop bet on the specified die roll. And if we want to increase the maximum odds to 100, I think that is an option. I think we have our config template that talks about max odds. Oh, yes. This is configurable. Well, we could start that at 100. Let's update my own local configuration to be 100. So we can give Pixel Grief there his 100x odds. We can say default. Maximum odds is 100x. Could be set to a different amount. We'll just go with default max odds is 10x. Or 100x, sorry. So we've updated our configuration and we've updated our documentation. Let's go ahead and push that as well. Oh, nice. Pixel Grief is crushing it over there. Nice work, buddy. And so now we have the request to make the role stand out with highlighting. I'm not sure about using Twitch emotes, because that's something that anyone will be able to use. I think the me command might be a better option, so let's go look at how we handle that. We have on message. Now this will be a little bit tricky because we've built up this message infrastructure, this event handler infrastructure. To do that, let's go look at what on message does. So it takes a message and queues it into a message queue. So who uses a queue? So we have client.say. And so what we would want to do is add in a new parameter or something to this to indicate if this is a say or an action. And I'm not sure how that works, so let's go look up the library we're using. I'm not even sure what library we're using. Twitch.js. Their documentation is broken. That's lovely. At least that's not broken. Let's go look up our main code. Our documentation is pretty crappy. API? Maybe let's try API. I don't think that's so good either. This documentation is horribly, woefully incomplete. I know they rely on the TMI.js library. So let's see if their documentation is a little more complete here. Yeah, so we have action, client.action, channel your message. So let's just test this. Let's do a quick conversion, a quick and dirty conversion. See what this does. Just go from say to action. And it's obviously not going to be what we want for a production deployment, but it'll allow us to experiment and see what this looks like. So let's just try a quick roll, a craps roll. And so that's how it could be highlighted. It basically highlights it with the color of the bot's username. So it's green in this point. Now obviously every message it sends at this point will be that same color. So if I do a craps balance, it'll respond to that same color. And I think we want to make sure that the messages are different from like the emotes from like the rolling and whatnot. And so probably what we need is to add in a parameter into this here. So let's go look at on message and see who uses on message. 6 results. Okay, that's actually not too bad. We have our definition. We have user message. We have process role. Point established. The point was made. 7 out. And so we could say something like let's put the whole thing in curly brackets. We could say message is equal to that. And we could say action colon false. So I'm adding a new parameter called action, and I'm renaming the existing message to be, or the existing parameter to be message. So I'm basically making this now an object with 2 items in it, an action and a message. So here, I think this is where we want to say action is true, message is this. I think I want to say var message is equal to all of this, just so we can fit it all in one line here. Now here we have, these are similar to role statements. And so yes, let's do these as actions as well. So we say action is true, message is this. And same for this, we'll say action is true, message is this. And same for this, we'll say, action is true, message is this. And I think that's it. So we have updated our user message. This is always going to be false for action, and just send a nice formatted message back to the user. Then a die roll is going to be an emote, or not an emote, but an action. New point established is also an action. Point being made is also an action. 7 out is also an action. So now I need to go update this file, which we haven't touched in quite a while. can say, message var message is equal to message queue.shift. If message dot action, if that is an action, let's do this. This is going to be message dot message. Otherwise, client.say. And assuming I've hit everything properly, this should work. Yeah, let's see what this does. So as before, if I just run craps balance, that should be a normal response, a non-emote response, or a non-action response. If I say craps roll, that does give you those, that highlighted color. So PictureGrief, I don't know if you're still around, but does that look like that would work for you, or what do you think of that change? It does tend to highlight those roles outside of all of the other messages that it sends, so I hope that does look a little better. I'm curious what you think of that. Or if anyone else is around. I see we have a few viewers. So if anyone else has any input, let me know as well. Because at this point, I'm just trying to implement this request here. Make the role stand out with highlighting was what was requested. And I'm trying a couple different ideas. First I was like, well, I could use Twitch emotes to highlight the role. But I didn't really care for that because anyone could use Twitch emotes. The other option is use the me command to turn the role in the same color as the bot username, which I suppose other people could also use. They could change their name to be the same name, or they could change their message color to be the same color as the bot. However, I think the bot is actually a random color, because I haven't specified a color for the bot, so you're not going to be able to really predict what that color is. You can set your own color to match what you see locally, but it won't affect anyone else. So that's probably okay, actually. Well, I think I will commit that as is. It does seem to be working. Let's just do some quick tests and do say craps bet pass for 5. Craps bets. Yeah, so we have messages that are responses to specific users that are in the default black text. Versus the die roll messages are in a specific, or in a different color. So I think that does highlight differences. I think that works okay. We'll try it a little bit and see, but I think that'll work. So let's go ahead and commit that and see where we're at. Alright, so we've updated our on-message usage so that everyone will recall on-message. We pass in 2 parameters now. We used to pass in just the message, now we're passing in an action, normally as false, and we pass in a message. I think that works. I think that looks okay, so I think I'll stick with that. Now let's actually continue to bet on this, so I have a point now. Let's say craps bet pass odds. Oh, I should be able to do 100 times odds. Let's try that. And craps bet to come for 5. Because I'm going to totally destroy my balance if I continue to bet this way, but we'll see. I'm also experimenting with 100 times odds to see if that's working and how that works. Or I'll win, and I'll just quadruple my money real fast here. Alright, so user message, we just pass an action false followed by the message. Then for the die roll, we pass in action true, and then the message is the point display. If a new point is established, which we've seen a couple of times now, we pass in action true, new point established, and followed by the point. If the point was made, which we have seen, we pass action true and say the point was made, and we've seen that. 7 out, I don't think we've seen that since I've made this change, and that change here is basically the same thing. Oh, nice. Boom! That was huge. So we haven't seen a 7 out yet, so let's look at my bets. Well, let's see, craps, bet, pass for 5. Craps, bets. Let's see what my bets are. I think I have a come bet on, what, the 5 probably? Yeah, so craps, bet, come, odds on the 5 for 500. We'll see how long I stay lucky here. And now here we have the main Twitch Craps file, or the Twitch Craps integration. This pulls out the message from the queue. If it is an action, we call action, otherwise we call say. And that'll do either a /me action or just a normal message. And does seem to be working just fine there. And Pipscreef, I do see that you're back. Are you able to see those different types of messages? And does that highlight it in a way that that looks good for you or works for you? You got the ever-present error message. You need a point first. You can't place odds without a point. Pipscreef says it's better. Alright. Yeah, it's not quite as highlighted as I might like. I love the block highlight like it does for my name. Yeah, the block highlight is a Twitch thing. Basically, when it types in your name, Twitch highlights that for you. And so I couldn't highlight your name specifically on a roll. Wow, you hit big. Or I hit big. Like you can see there, it highlights my name for me, but you don't see it highlighted for you. So I'm not sure how to do... I can see if Twitch has message formatting here. Let's just say Twitch message formatting. Like, do we have like a bold option or a color option or a block quote option? We don't have. This page doesn't exist. Fisher says that's great because you can find your things. Yeah, it's great when it's responding just to you, so you can see your messages and ignore other messages. For the roles, that's something we want everyone to be able to see. Well, let's see, have I committed this yet? Let's see where we're at here. I don't think I've committed yet. I could try an alternative. Let's stash this for now. And let's go look up different Twitch emotes. Say Twitch emotes. Top 10 emotes used today. Let's try to find a global emote that is, something that'll catch your eye, something to indicate that, hey, there is a die roll going on, something we can use that is somewhat unique. Like Kapow, I've used that in other apps before. It's pretty obvious. Praise it. If you're into Twitch Plays Pokemon, you might recognize that. PogChamp is a pretty common emote, so I'm not. It would kind of accomplish its goal, but it's a little too common. I'm Glitch. Twitch Lit. There's all these subscription emotes, so we basically need to find something on this list that would work. You could use Mr. Destructoid. You use like a bot emote for it. Let's try that. Just as a sample thing to experiment with and see what it does. Go ahead and close all these other things here. Let's see, trying to figure out where we want this to go. We could go at the beginning. We go between the point notifications. Let's try the beginning. Let's try, Mr. Destructoid, space, plus point display. Let's see what that looks like. That would do it for just the roll. And I'll probably do it for just the roll for now. And let's see what that looks like. Let's see if I have any bets outstanding here. So I have a pass line bet. I'll say craps, bet, pass, odds, 500, just to get in on the action here. And we'll let that play itself out for a little bit while I continue to think about different emotes here. There's Mr. Destructoid. Gonna go for the robot look. There's Kapow. I don't know. I don't think that's as relevant. Hey guys is very popular, so I want to avoid that. Give please. I don't think I've seen that too much. There's probably also a take please or a something that maps that. Take energy. So I give, please, take energy. The point was made. Woohoo! Cha-ching! We could try the give please on the take energy and kind of box it in on both sides. Let's just try a few of these, see what Mr. Destructoid looks like, just for entertainment. That looks like a nice bot icon. There's give please, there's something in the middle. And take energy is the other one. Let's see if we can come up with that one. So it's another option. We could try to box in the role with the give and take energy. Those are kind of the two options I can think of so far. Here's a squid emote. Nah, that's not something I'm going to be able to use. Yeah, so I think those are the two options I would consider. I would do the Mr. Destructoid that I've done here, or start with the give energy and take energy at the end. So once we have the next 7 out, I will I'll stop the bot and try Mr. Destructoid and see what that looks like. Then once that runs for a bit, I will try the give please take please and see what that looks like. So for now, let me just pop out the chat. We'll play with chat for a little bit. I have no bets. And we have a point, so I'll say craps bet come for 5. Wow, my balance is huge. This is where the 1 minute delay between roll kind of gets on your nerves a little bit. There's always a challenge between giving people a chance to type in the bets that they want to make versus keeping the game speedy. And as I said earlier, I did try 30 seconds for a while, and 30 seconds seemed to be just a little too fast. Make this bigger? I think I can make this bigger. Mr. Griff says you gotta run. Alright, well, hey, thank you for checking out the stream, and I'll catch you next time, Pixel Grief. I'll continue to poke at this and come up with something, and I'll see you next time. Alright, so I have no bets. I don't think there's any other bets out because we just 7'd out. So I won a little bit, Pistol Grief lost a bunch. Let's pop the chat back in, let's stop the bot, and experiment a little bit here. Alright, so I think at this point I've added in the Mr. Destructoid, so let's just try that and see what that does. Let's try craps, bet, pass for 5. I'll let this continue to run in the background, and we'll try it for a bit and see what this does. Make the chat nice and big so I can see what's going on here and interact if anyone wants to chat. Actually, I probably want to make it be the right size. So I'm going to close the pop out, pop it out again. So I'm going to keep it the same size it has been, just so I can see what this will look like for people using the chat within the window. So I was wondering if I wanted to do the Mr. Destructoid as part of those other messages as well. And I think so. Let's try that. Let's do it for all three of those. So we have the role, new point established, the point was made, 7 out. Those are the 3 cases. So let's go give that a try and see what that does here. Just wait a minute for this to roll here. I'm just want to give people a chance to poke at it if they want, and want to have time to think about the different options. So yeah, we could see what's going on there. If we do like a craps roll, just to do a 7 out at this point, craps roll 3, 4. Everything still fits within the chat window there. And it seems to work. So let's try the next option. Too many browser windows. I think we had seen give energy and take energy, or give please and take energy. So let's try this one. Give please. Oh yeah, we're done with all this. I'm going to go ahead and drop all of this notes here. We've implemented hot bets. So we have give please, and I think take energy is the other one. Take energy. So let's try this for all the places where we have Mr. Destructoid. So give, please. Give, please. Give, please. Give, please. And now let's look for the end and do take energy on each of those. Take energy. Take energy. Take energy. So I think all of those will work now. Let's give it a try. craps bet pass 5. And I'll just force some rolls here to speed things along. So I say craps roll. Let's set a point of 4. Looks kind of cute. Let's try another roll here. Say craps roll 2, 3. And that all fits nicely within the chat window for me, at least. Now let's do let's hit the 4, so say craps roll 2, 2. And now let's try craps bet pass of 5. Craps roll 2, 2, and now let's do a 7 out and compare that. Let's see, I want to see if I can line these two messages up. The no point, the roll, and the point established. So let me try one small change here. Instead of saying new, we could say point established. And see what that does. So say craps bet pass of 5. Let's say craps roll. Let's try a point of 10 because that'll be one extra character. And just make sure that all fits nicely on one line here. No point roll 5, 5, 10. Point established 10. Then if we hit the point, say craps roll 5, 5. Or say 4, 6. Point was made. Now let's try craps bet pass 5. Craps roll 5 or 4, 6, doesn't really matter. And then say craps roll 3, 4. I think I like that. It's kind of cute. It kind of brackets all those things. And it definitely highlights the difference between like global messages that everyone should pay attention to versus messages that are to a specific player. And I think I like that over the action code that we worked on. And this is simpler. The action code is a somewhat fair amount of complexity to make that work. This is nice and simple. So yes, I think I will keep this. Let's go ahead and pop my chat back into my dashboard. And let's see where we're at. Alright, so we've basically modified all of our die roll messages. We've added in this give please at the beginning and take energy to the end. We've added that to the new point established. We've also changed, we've gone from new point established to point established, just to make that message a little bit shorter. We've added it to the point was made, and we've added it to 7 out. So we could say make the, or use Twitch emotes to make the die roll stand out. That's pretty much what that is about there. Git add, git commit. We also have this stash that I've done. Say git stash. I don't know how does git stash work because I don't really care anymore. I just wanted to drop it. Git stash list show drop. So save list show pop drop. Remove a single stashed. Okay, so git stash drop. Hit gone. Alright, where are we at here? So we've made the die roll stand out with highlighting. Rather than using the me command, we've just used Twitch emotes, so that is done. The remaining craps bets to add, we have the fire bet, the bottom top all, big 6-8. We also have added to consider the horn and the world bets. I'm not quite sure about those, because you can replicate those with other bets. But some people might want to make those, so I'll just keep those on the list and consider them. But we're getting pretty close. We're really reaching the bottom of the stack of bets to add. And we've already hit basically all of the mainline bets. The fire and the bottom top all are kind of specialty bets that not all casinos have, and they're just bad bets. You know, they're novelty bets that are flashy. They have a really high payout, but the chances of hitting it is really low, and the payout does not come close to the odds of hitting it. So it's a pretty bad house edge on those. Big 6-8, they're terrible bets. You're much better off just placing the 6 and 8 instead. Horn and World, I'm not sure what the payouts are on those. They're probably going to be similar to other proposition bets. And if I do add those, I'll try to make those payouts be similar to other bets of the same type. So I think we're getting pretty close. Incremental balance adjustment is also on the list. Leaderboard. Allow players to change existing bets is a big one. I think there's a growing need to add that functionality. Keep placing buy bets around after they win. Allow players to serve as the bank, add ability to turn bets on and off, and automatically turn bets on and off the same way a casino would. So I think once we get through all of that, I think we're at a pretty good version 1 milestone. And we'll obviously continue to add and remove things as things come up while we work on that stuff. But yeah, I think that is the next batch of work. I think I have a pretty good stopping point for today. I've been streaming for about just over 3 hours. I want to go grab some lunch, so I'm going to go do that. My next stream is 1 week from today, Sunday, April 7th at 9 a.m. United States Pacific Time, UTC -7, so adjust your time zone if you want to tune in again. Let's see, before I wrap up, I don't think I've pushed yet. Yeah, so let me go ahead and push this. All my code is available on GitHub, so if you do wish to check it out, go to github.com/cubepixel, and I'll send a link in chat here so you have access to that. Now let's go ahead, just make sure that all showed up on GitHub. Oh yeah, we got a bunch of stuff to get rid of here. "56 commits while I've been quite active. Last commit was from 4 minutes ago. Alright, well I think that is a good stopping point for me, so thank you for tuning in. As I said, my next stream will be next Sunday, April 7th at 9 a.m. I will continue work on my Twitch crap spot. Thank you for tuning in. I will see you next time.